Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Sima Gold. So today we're going to be drafting the beautiful gown we saw before this video. So I'll start by drafting my basic bodies. So the basic bodies I'm working with, I'll draft the front first of all. So the shoulder I'm working with is a shoulder of 15, that's 7.5 inches. I'm drafting from here. I left some space here because I'm going to be using that space for the overlapping. Then after the 15 inches, I would mark my 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I would mark my armhole depth, which is my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. 34 divided by 6 plus 1.5 gave me 7.1, so that's what I'm marking here. I will impute my shoulder measurement of 7.5 here and connect them together. After that, I'm going to be getting my neck width and depth for this front. The neck width I'll be working with from the center front is 4 inches. And the neck depth I'll be working with is a neck depth of say 5 inches. Then I'll connect my shoulder slope. Then I'll connect this with a V, with a sharp V. I'll connect this with a sharp V. Then after that, I would mark my bust measurement. My bust measurement is about is 34 inches divided by 4 gives me 8.5. I'm going to add 1.5 inches for seam allowance. Then the waist measurement, the shoulder to waist is 16. On that 16 inches, I'm going to impute the waist measurement. I'm working with waist 27. Waist 27 divided by 4 give me 6.75. I'll mark 6.75 plus 1 inch that I'll be taking out. That's 1 plus 1.5 inches seam allowance, and then I would connect. After connecting, I would come to the middle part of the armhole and I'll get the midpoint. I'll go in by half of an inch and then I'll blend into the armhole, into the chest line. After doing that, I'm going to be inserting my dart. The dart I'm working with is a dart of 4 inches. So I'll mark to 4 inches and then I'll take half inch on both sides and then connect. After connecting, I will talk about my bust dart. For the bust dart, I'm going to be doing the shoulder to waist front minus shoulder to waist back. Shoulder to waist for front is 16, shoulder to waist for back is 15. 16 minus 15 gives me 1 inch. So on this line, I'm going to mark my 1 inch and then I'll connect it. After connecting it, we can say that our dress is almost ready. I'll come to the down part of this. I'll measure like say 6 inches. And after that, what I will do is to blend this overlapping to that 6 inches, or if I have a need to increase it, I'll do that. So at this down part now, what I have in total is 7.5. So I did my overlapping from here to the V neck of the center front and then extended it out to 7.5. So after doing that, what I'll do next is to cut out. But before I cut out, let me draft the back pattern for this. Now for the back pattern, the shoulder to waist is 15. So I'll be marking the shoulder to waist of 15 inches first. After marking the shoulder to waist of 15 inches, I'll connect it. So this doesn't count anymore. Then I'll mark my shoulder, which is 7.5. I'll mark my shoulder slope, which is 1 inch. Immediately after that, I'll mark my armhole depth, which is 7.1. After marking that, I'll insert my shoulder measurement of 7.5 and then I would connect. After connecting, my neck width is 4 inches, so I'll mark 4 inches here. My neck depth for this back is going to be 1 inch. Then I'll blend it into the neck and then blend to the shoulder slope. I'll get the midpoint. I'll go in by 0.25. Then I'll connect. My bust measurement divided by 4 is 8.5. Then I will add 1.5 for sewing allowance. Then my waist is 27 divided by 4 gives me 6.75. I'm going to be adding dart intake of 1 inch, then back tightening of 1 inch plus extra 1.5 inch for seam allowance, and then I'll connect. I'll come to this part. From the center back, I'll mark 4.5 inch for the darts, and then I'll mark half inch on both sides for my dart intake. And then for the center back part, I'll go inward by 1 inch for my back tightening, and then I'll blend. Now after doing this, I'll connect my armhole into my chest line, and then we are good to go. So the next thing I'll proceed to do is to cut out. Then for this dart, I don't want the dart to show. I don't even want to sew a dart. So all I'll do is to try to pinch it in and cover it up. Make sure it's as flat as it can be. Then you can mask with your masking tape, or you just take note of it. So I'll lay this aside. Now for the front, I'll cut out. Now while cutting out, you have to take note of this part, that this is where your v-neck stops. Then having done this, the next thing I'll do is to close up these darts, and then I will open up these darts. I want the dress to have a bust dart, not a waist dart. So I will close up these darts, and all that will be transferred to this side. So with that, we can say that the front and the back is ready. So the next thing we'll do is to transfer to fabric. This is the fabric I'm using. So what I will do for the front is to place, already you remember that we've already added our sewing allowance to the pattern, so we don't have a need to talk about sewing allowance again. All I need to do is to cut. So this is what we have. I would mark out this dart part from where it should start. You can give it a notch if you feel whatever you want to use might not show. You can notch like this. You just notch. For the neck part, you have to mark where your neck actually should get to before you start overlapping. Okay, so for me, mine is showing, so I could easily transfer back the dart to the back or trace it back. Or you can take this pattern paper, place at the back part of your fabric, use your chalk to mark, because we are sewing the bust dart from inside. So I'll cut another one of these. Okay, so I've cut the second part, so we have two pieces for the front, and I marked my dart intake, my bust dart at the back side of it. So when I want to sew, I will just pin and sew, and that's the only place that that is going to appear. So I'll lay it aside, and then we cut the back. So remember, we added our sewing allowance already. I don't have a need for sewing allowance, so what I'm going to be adding for is just the zipper allowance of 1.5 inch. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inch, and then I'll cut. So the back is ready, and we don't have a need for that because we already closed the dart for this place. So I would go to my sewing machine. I will turn the neck with bias. I'll close up the zipper part first, and then I will turn the armhole part, take in my dart for the front part, turn the neck with a bias, and then overlap it by that 7 inches. How you will know you've gotten your overlapping well is when you close here by 1.5, which is your back, you're going to place here side by side. When you take your darts, the waist becomes equal. When you're taking your darts, your waist become equal. Then you place this one again, you take in your darts, so the waist will come together, and then you fit in by your 1.5 inch, or you take the person's measurement again and fit. So after doing all of this, I'm going to come to this table. We are going to cut the lower part and then add it to the upper part. I'm done fitting it. So this is what I have. This is the bust dart. I've sewn it and ironed it flat. So this is what we have already. You can see the overlap. I top stitch straight down, so I'll lay it aside, and we're going to talk about the down part of the skirt. Now the length of my skirt is 39. So I measured, I'm using the half length, I'm using 10 inches for it, plus 1 inch for joining allowance. So 39 minus 10 would give me 29. So from here, for the other part, I did 29 plus 1 inch for hemming allowance and 1 inch for um joining allowance. That's a total of 31. So I have this is the one I'm going to be joining to this. Now for the wideness that I'm going to pleat, I have about 3.5 yards, let's say 36 inches in 3 places plus 18 inches by 31. So I'll keep this aside. But for that one, you can actually determine how much you want depending on the fabric available for you to use. Then for this, my waist measurement is 8. My waist measurement divided by 4 is inches 0.75, that's 6.75. I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches for my um seam allowance. Then the waist to hip for this person is 8 inches. On that hip line, I'm going to be measuring my hip measurement. The hip measurement I'm working with is 35 divided by 4 gives me 8.75. Then I will be adding 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So after doing this, I will cut from the waist straight down. I already measured my 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. So what I will do now is to take the front of this skirt and join to the upper part of this for the front, and do the same thing. I'll open up this zipper allowance this zip that I closed. I would add this one to the lower part. Then I'll fit it by the side. After fitting it, I'll take the remaining part of this skirt, gather it, hem it, and join. So after doing those, I would come back to the table so that we can talk about the design in the lower part of the skirt and then fix the sleeve. So I'm done sewing the gown. This is the upper part, the skirt, and then I gathered here. I've hemmed them out. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to get the middle part of this skirt part, this skirt that demarcated the pleating and the upper part. So now this is the middle part of the skirt. You get that place with a straight line. Then you get your elastic. Now from here to here is 10. I'm going to be measuring an elastic of 6.5 inches. All I need to do is from here, I'm going to stretch this elastic here upward and top stitch. That way it will have a little bit of gather at the front there. After doing that, I'm going to weave inside, fix my zip, and then we'll talk about the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, I have about, for each part of the sleeve, I have about 17 inches by 6.5 inches. So I'm going to be putting tissue stay on this sleeve to give it stamina. I'll put 2 layers of tissue stay on each one. Then when I'm done fixing the zipper of this and fixing the elastic, we'll come to the table and talk about how to go about the sleeve. So I'm done with the dress. This is the gathered part. Then this is how the gown look. I'll put it on the mannequin much later. So now we'll go to the sleeve. For the sleeve, I'm going to measure around the armhole. What I have is about 7.5 inches, and I have this piece that I have put my hairstay on. In total, this is about 15 inches. So this is 7.5, that's 15 inches. So I'm just going to join. This is 15 inches by 4.5. So what I will do is I will just close up here by 0.25, then turn it out, and then fix it to this armhole. I'll do it on this side and on the other side.